Hello everyone, my name is Nasmerida Tumano, together with my partner Emmanuel Bin Sarman K. Sonza, and we are your reporter for Chapter 6 entitled In Sunny Spain. Chapter 6 In Sunny Spain, Year 1882 to year 1885. After finishing the fourth year of the medical course in the University of Santo Tomas, Jose Rizal, being disgusted with the antiquated method of instruction in the Dominican-owned university and the racial prejudice of the Dominican professors against Filipino students, decided to complete his studies in Spain. At that time, the government of Spain was a constitutional monarchy under a written constitution which granted human rights to the people, particularly freedom of speech, freedom of the press, and freedom of assembly. Aside from the ostensible reason, he had another reason, which was more important than merely completing his studies in Spain. This was his secret mission, which many Rizalist biographers, including Austin Craig and Venizelio E. Retana, never mention in their writings. Rizal's secret mission. This mission, which Rizal conceived with approval of his older brother Pasiano, was to observe keenly the life and culture, languages and customs, industries and commerce, and governments and laws of the European nations in order to prepare himself in the mighty task of liberating his oppressed people from Spanish tyranny. This was evidenced in his farewell letter, which was delivered to his parents shortly after his departure for Spain. Secret departure for Spain. Rizal's departure for Spain was kept secret to avoid detection by the Spanish authorities and the Priors. Even his own parents did not know because he knew they, especially his mother, would not allow him to go. Only his older brother Pasiano, his uncle Antonio Rivera, father of Leonor Rivera, his sisters Neneng and Lucia, the Valenzuela's family, Pedro A. Paterno as compadre, Mateo Evangelista, and some intimate friends including Cheng Oy. The kind of Jesuit priest gave him letters of recommendation to the members of their society in Barcelona. He used the name Jose Mercado, a cousin from Birnian. Birnian? Birnian. He used the name Jose Mercado, a cousin from Birnian. Before his secret departure, he wrote a farewell letter for his beloved parents and another one for his sweetheart Leonor Rivera, both delivered shortly after he sailed away. On May 3, 1882, Rizal departed on board the Spanish steamer Salvadora bound for Singapore. With tears in his eyes and gloom in his heart, he gazed at the receding skyline of Manila. He hastily took paper and pencil and sketched it as it vanished in view. During the voyage to Singapore, he carefully observed the people and things on board the steamer. There were 16 passengers including himself, 5 or 6 ladies, many children, and the rest gentlemen. He was the only Filipino, and the rest were Spaniards, British, and Indian Negroes. To while away the tedious boredom of sea voyage, Rizal played chess with his fellow passengers who were much older than he. He defeated them many times, for he was a good chess player. The following day, the Salvador docked at Singapore. Rizal landed, registered at Hotel de la Paz, and spent 2 days on a sightseeing tour of the city, which was a colony of England. He saw the famous botanical garden, the beautiful Buddhist temples, the busy shopping district, and the statue of Sir Thomas Stanford Raffles, founder of Singapore. He wrote the general appearance of Point Galet is picturesque but lonely and quiet and at the same time sad. The following day, the Dejema weighed anchored and resumed the voyage towards Colombo, the capital of Ceylon. After a few hours of sailing, she reached this city on the same day. Rizal was enamored by Colombo because of its scenic beauty and elegant buildings. He delightfully scribed on his diary, Colombo is more beautiful, smart, and elegant than Singapore, Point Galle, and Manila. From Colombo, the Dejema continued the voyage crossing the Indian Ocean to the Cape of Guardafui, Africa. For the first time, Rizal sighted the various coasts of Africa, which he called an inhospitable land, but famous. Next stopover, in Aden, Rizal went ashore to see the sights. He found the city hotter than Manila. He was amused to see the camels for it was the first time he saw these animals. From Aden, the Dejema proceeded to the city of Suez, the Red Sea terminal of Suez Canal. Upon arrival at Suez, Rizal disembarked and went sightseeing like an ordinary tourist. What impressed him most was the beautiful moonlight which reminded him of Calamba and his family. It took Dejema 5 days to traverse the Suez Canal. Rizal was thrilled because it was his first trip through this canal, which was built by Ferdinand de Lesseps, a French diplomatic engineer. It was inaugurated on November 17, 1869. At Port Said, the Mediterranean terminal of the Suez Canal, Rizal landed in order to see the interesting sights. He was fascinated to hear the multi-racial inhabitants speaking a babel of tongues: Arabic, Egyptian, Greek, French, Italian, Spanish, and etc. From Port Said, the Dejema proceeded on its way to Europe. On June 11, Rizal reached Naples. This Italian city pleased him because of its business activity. While sojourning in Barcelona, Rizal received sad news about the cholera that was ravaging Manila and the provinces. Many people had died and more were dying daily. According to Paciano's letter, dated September 15, 1882, the Colombo folks were having afternoon novenas to San Roque and nocturnal processions and prayers so that God may stop the dreadful epidemic, which the Spanish health authorities were impotent to check. Another sad news from the Philippines was the chatty letter of Chengoy recounting the unhappiness of Leonor Rivera, who was getting thinner because of the absence of her loved one. In one of his letters, dated May 26, 1882, Paciano advised his younger brother to finish the medical course in Madrid. Obediently, heeding his advice, Rizal left Barcelona in the fall of 1882 and established himself in Madrid, the capital of Spain. Rizal was not a handsome man. In physique, he was neither a dashing or imposing, for he was a shy small man, a few inches above 5 feet in height, but he possessed an aura of charisma due to his many splendid talents and noble character, which made him attractive to romantic young women. No wonder the prettiest of Don Pablo's daughter Consuelo fell in love with him. Rizal, being a lonely young man in a foreign country, far from his natal land, was attracted by Consuelo's beauty and vivacity. He even composed a lovely poem on August 22, 1883 dedicated to her. In this poem, titled A la Señorita Coyp, he expressed his admiration for her. He found solace and joy in her company. However, before his romance with Consuelo could blossom into a serious affair, he suddenly backed out for two reasons. He was still engaged to Leonor Rivera, and his friend and co-worker in the propaganda movement, Eduardo Delete was madly in love with Consuelo, and he had no wish to break their friendship because of a pretty girl. A favorite pastime of Rizal is Madrid was reading instead of gambling and flirting with women. As many young Filipinos did in Spanish metropolis, he stayed at home and read voraciously until midnight. Since early childhood, he liked to read. Rizal economized on his living expenses, and with the money he saved, he purchased books from a second-hand bookstore owned by a certain Senor Roses. He was able to build a fair-sized private library, his collection of books. At first, he was billeted at the Hotel de Paris on 37 Dear Bourbonge. Later, he moved to a cheaper hotel on 124 Rue de Rances in the Latin Quarter, where it was cheaper to live. That's all for Mr. Datumano, and Mr. Sonja will proceed.
Good day, I am Emmanuel Vince Herman K. Sonza, your second reporter for Chapter 6 in Sally, Spain. So, after Mr. Tetumano discussed the introduction and first part for our report in Chapter 6, now let's proceed to the remaining topics in Chapter 6. So, let's start. Now let's have a short discussion for the remaining topics for Chapter 6 in San Spain. First, Rizal as a Mason. In Spain, Rizal came close to with Masons including Miguel Moraita, Francisco P. E. Mercal, Miguel Bacara, Emilio Punoy, and Juan Ruiz Zorrilla. Rizal was impressed by the Spanish Masons and he joined the Masonic Lodge called Acacia in Madrid. Later, he transferred to Lodge Solidaridad Madrid, where he became a Master Mason on November 15, 1890. He was also awarded the Diploma of Master Mason on February 15, 1892. Next, financial worries. After Rizal's departure to Spain, the things turned worse in Calamba due to hard time in Calamba. The monthly allowances of Rizal in Madrid were late in arrival and there were times they were never arrived. On June 24, 1884, a touching incident to Rizal's life. He was empty stomach and it was empty stomach that day, but he still attended to his classes and events. Rizal salute to Luna and Hidalgo. Banquet on June 25, 1884, Rizal salute Luna and Hidalgo's victory on the National Exposition of Fine Arts in Madrid. Luna's Polarium winning the first prize and Hidalgo's Christian Virgins exposed to the Opulence second prize. Next, Rizal involved in student demonstration. On November 20, 21, and 22, 1884, a riot was exploded on the Central University due to excommunication of Dr. Moraita. The riot was participated by lots of students, including Filipino students, and the appointment of the new rector intensified the fury of students demonstrators, and more students demonstrations confused the city. And lastly, the last topic for Chapter 6, the studies completed in Spain. Rizal completed his medical course in Spain in June 20, 1884. But due to not presenting the thesis required and corresponding fees, he was not awarded his doctor's diploma. Rizal also finished his studies in philosophy and letter, and he was awarded the degree of licentiate rather in philosophy and letters on June 19, 1885 with rating of excellent. So that's all. Thank you.